It gave us the ability to do things that the competition didn't even know existed.
Welcome back to Digital Dominance. Every day, we are constantly bombarded with promotions, offers, and demands for our attention and money. On the one hand, it can be annoying, but sometimes there are offers we don't mind entertaining. There are some ads that we watch willingly because it was relevant to us. So, promotion isn't all bad. It's about cutting through the noise so that you can get the right people to notice. Many big companies take advantage of their big budgets to take a general approach that relies on quantity. They hit everyone, hoping that a small percentage will respond. But what if it's possible to get much more targeted, have a more personalized approach, and have a big percentage respond? The good news is, it's not only possible, it's been done before, and Harvey Hirsch is the man who repeatedly made it happen. Harvey is a retired direct marketing and sales promotion expert specializing in new business development strategies in the B2B space. His work for clients has earned over 100 industry and trade association awards, and the average response rate for his campaigns has been an astounding 50% when targeting C level decision makers. Harvey's unique personalized 3D variable data shaped print marketing technology was granted a US process patent in 2003, and it allows him to provide new ways of approaching prospects that never existed before. So thanks for being here, Harvey, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always nice to help out the industry, which is what you're trying to do desperately.
Yeah, definitely.
The marketing industry, which pretty much controls everything in the world. Okay, everything has to be packaged and marketed. Um, it involves strategies, and most of the strategies still today are based in the 70s. Get the message out to as many people as possible for as cheap as possible and try to run an average. Now that has failed miserably. The whole printing industry is shrinking drastically, and printers themselves rarely use print to contact clients. And it's a shame.
It is because there's so much more you can do with that, even with print. So, we're going to be talking about a lot of these campaigns that you've done as case studies so we can learn the takeaways and show people what's possible. So, can we start by giving it just a definition of variable marketing, and then we'll kind of get into some of the stories?
Okay, so variable marketing is when you're using a database, and the more information you have about the customer, the prospect, the more information you can place into the direct mail piece that is going to them. And I was using data back in my early career. But in those days, you printed out a Cheshire label and had it affixed to the mailing piece. It wasn't personalized. One message fit all. And that's what you tried to do when you were creating the message. And as I got involved with digital, I realized that's obsolete. I could talk to each person individually. And instead of mailing out 10,000 pieces, I could mail out 50. And I could test my market and I could test my message and I could keep going. So what I was getting in the mail, I brought with me. This is stuff I get. These are all from banks. Okay? They're all banks. There's nothing here that makes me want to open up these letters. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, everybody stops with personalization at the name. Name and address, and now they consider it personalized. But you're talking about going the next level beyond that of information about their role or their goals or anything like that that allows you to further tailor that piece just for them.
Well, what happened was I was launching a product for Sharp Electronics. I was launching their own personalized printers. They made the color printers themselves. They didn't get an engine from somebody else and just build a case. And they hired me to launch these in three different marketplaces: government, large industry, and print for pay. And I asked them if their machines can print 10-point paper, because you need 10-point, actually 9-point, in order to make a business reply card. In those days, everybody was using business reply cards, and they didn't know what a point was. And I said, okay, so can I borrow some of your machines to see if we can print your mailing piece right on the machine? And they gave me their two beta units, and we figured out a good sheet of paper, and we started printing it. In fact, I probably could show you. I mean, you can edit this, right?
Oh, yeah.
I could show you the piece we did because here it is. So these were some of the pieces that we made for Sharp Electronics. And I like to engage people. I like them to open things, to touch things.
Right, and you've got edges that aren't all straight. You've got edges that match,
Oh, everything I do is die cut. Die cutting changes the paradigm right away. Okay. And they loved it. And I was able to do it for all their dealers just by, showing them one piece. And this is metallic paper. This was really like ahead of the game. And this one also went out to all their dealers and to potential customers. So we had a breakthrough piece. Oh, it's still connected, but this is the stuff we printed on their copiers. And I liked it so much that we were able to generate, I think, 5% response just going to potential customers for the machines, for the copiers. And the more I got involved in it, it was amazing. It was just like I had a large drum copier and it couldn't take anything more than 80-pound stock. So when I started playing with the thicker and thicker stocks, I realized that the shorter straight paper path was the future of printing because there was no torque on the paper. So ordinarily, because with die cutting, you need to print at least 500 sheets. Then you make a die. Then you take the printed piece and the die to a finishing house and they stamp it out. And that's pretty much the state of the art today. And we're talking 2024. Okay. So um, if you want to have a die cut piece or a three-dimensional pop up, you're going to have to print 500 pieces. And there's no room for personalization. You might be able to merge data a little bit, put the name of the company, but you can't really type in a personalized message because in the die cutting process, you could lose up to 15%. And you don't want to do that. That's an expensive process. So when I was at Sharp with my staff running this printed device, this mailer, I was watching this amazing machine print four colors on one side. Then we'd take it out, we'd flip it over and print the back on the other machine. And the color was consistent, it was nice. And one night I was up there with some food for my staff because we had to be there two shifts because the machine only printed 11 sheets a minute on the bypass tray, and we had to do like 12,000 pieces. So we were there for a week, and we used up like 56 toners. And I'm watching the paper go into the machine, and then statically, two pieces got connected and went through the machine. I thought it was going to jam, and it came out the other side, and I peeled them apart, and I said, "Oh my God, this is amazing." So I went and I got some specialty paper and I ran it through the machine. I got it up to 14 point and I told the engineers that your machine prints 14 point. Hell, your machine prints color on 14-point paper. I mean, the more versatility a device has, the more products you can print off of it and the more money a printer could make by buying it. So I was competing with Canon, which had a very good machine, and Xerox, which had one of the best machines on the marketplace, but they were very limited to the amount of paper that they could print on. And the wider variety of paper allowed me to do some strange things. So when I looked at the industry as a whole, I tried to figure out where this machine and the ability to merge data would come in. And one of the things we did was, well, we changed the shape of postcards. Okay, and they all had to go into a clear plastic envelope, a sleeve, so the post office could put them through their machines. And we changed everything. And then I got to the point where, okay, why make one message for men and one message for women? Because that's really the future. I would say gender specific mailing. So we made gender specific pieces. Okay. And we were able to change in a minute the data going in there and talk to people right on the front of the postcard and on the back.
And for those of you listening, he's holding up pieces of mailers that are shaped like piggy banks or butterflies and, a cracker with bites out of it, right?
Yeah, for comedians, for Jewish comedians. I mean, it gave us the ability to do things that the competition didn't even know existed.
Right. Well, and this is something I want to highlight because you're talking about customization, personalization, but there's two problems you're solving here. One is getting your thing to be looked at, right? That's the first problem. Whether it's email, we focus a lot on the email subject line because that's what people, that's what gets them to open some interest, something intriguing. With a direct mail, we get the stack of mailers and junk mail. We pick out the ones that look interesting. So if you're just another rectangle, another white square, nobody's going to look at it and you're definitely not getting past the front desk. But if you're shaped like a big piece of cheese with the guy's name on it or something or his favorite chips, that's going to get set aside and they're going to look at it. So that's step 1 and then step 2 is customizing the message once they look at it so it's even more compelling and you get a response. Sorry, folks, had a brief technical difficulty there, but we're back. We're going to continue our conversation. Harvey was just walking us through some of the cool, unique things that he did with die cuts and metallic paper and making these direct mail pieces so personalized and unique that they stand out. People notice it in the stack of mail. They look at it, and then the message is tailored to them. So the response rates he was getting was fantastic. So let's just kind of continue with that. I mean, obviously, we want to learn from that, whether our campaigns are direct mail or email or anything. We can take those principles and use the customization to go beyond just name and address to actually change the look and feel of the promotion for that particular demographic, whatever they are, or for that individual person. If you do a good job picking your list of who you want to reach out to, then you can get super specific on those individuals. And there's no reason you can't do that with today's technology.
No, in fact, if you're not using data, you're wasting your money. If you're not personalizing, you're wasting your money. I mean, the average cost of a direct mail piece to do this, can you see this?
Yes.
So the average cost is about $1.47. And if you're mailing out 10,000 pieces, you've got what? $14,000. All
Yeah.
right. If you're getting a half of 1%, you're spending thousands of dollars for that lead. And once I realized that, my question to clients was always, if you had the chance to take that customer out for a lunch, spend $60 and talk to them for an hour, would you do it? And they all said, sure, we do it. So all I figured out how to do was send the invitation to lunch in
Right.
such a way that people could call, that the salesperson could call and say, I mailed you that, whatever, that crazy, thing. And they would get on the phone and it started changing the way I thought about direct mail. Because direct mail is where you're going directly with your message to a specific type of person who buys your product.
Right.
Okay. And all of your clients are different. So you have to deal with that. And I started playing all sorts of games. And I realized that once my patent cleared, I was able to die cut a sheet of paper and then print on it. What that allowed me to do is make three-dimensional products in short runs instead of the 500 that you normally need. But even more than that, when I started playing with it, one of my products is the suit mailer. Can you see that? It's a
Mm-hmm.
three-dimensional suit that opens up. So if I had 100 names and 20 of them were in the military, they would get that suit. And we're talking about marketing being the same thing as war. You want to take over somebody else's territory? Well, they don't want to give it up that fast. Or invite them to a gala event. Or if it's a medic, this message changes, but the three-dimensional power doesn't. And this is what I was able to accomplish. And little by little, I started experimenting And I'm going to show your viewers something that they've never seen before. And I'm going to walk them through this because this is going to change the way they market. All right. Digital is in print as well as being online. And it's very critical that they understand the power of print. Most print today has no power, and that's why the industry is shrinking. Postcards, letters, and envelopes, they died in the 70s. Okay, when IBM Selectric came out, you were able to merge data and personalized letters in the 70s. When you got a personalized letter, you opened it up. But then millions of them were flooding the market. Nobody wanted to open them up anymore. So they lost
Yep.
their power. So I had to come up with all sorts of things, and die cutting was part of it. If I could die cut and shape things and get them interactive, that's what I did. And we were seeing with the clients a large response rate. And everybody wants a large response rate. So one of the clients we had is an ink company, Superior Printing Ink. And I told the marketing director, I said, I don't work in ink anymore. But if you have a database, and they did, and what they wanted to do was set up an on-site ink mixing facility at a printing company, 20 million and above. And
Okay.
they had sales force, they had reps all over the country trying to get in the door to sell this to the printers, and they couldn't get in the door. So I said to them, can you get me the name of the president of that printing company, the sales manager at that printing company, and the facilities manager at that printing company? So they went out and they got all that information, and we set up a database with each sales rep and the printers that they were contacting, and the names correctly spelled, I hope. And what I did was I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to impress a printer that's been in the business for 20 years and has seen it all? Literally. And they were all men. I think we had one woman who inherited it, but it didn't matter. So what I did was I created a system where this is the box. It is literally something I bought at Uline. It was a stock box. There were only 227 names that we could go after that they had collected of printers 20 million and above. And what I did was I created this box. And let's see if I can open it up so you can see. And it was shrink wrapped, and it had delivery information built into the postage. So I would get notified 10 o'clock in the morning, so and so got the box, and I would call the rep in that area. So in this box, can you see that?
Yeah, he's got the Easter grass, and there's some goldfish, and then a bunch of cutouts of fish. There's an envelope on the top, lots of
All
color.
these fish are personalized. Every single one is personalized. I put it in color so you can see it. So we had 7 die cut fish. We had personalization all over. And then an A7 that opened up, and inside of it was a personalized hand folded origami fish with their name on it. Okay. And it opened up again. Then I took this piece and I changed the artwork, and I put the copy for the sales manager in one of these. And then we reformatted the copy for the facilities manager, talking about less waste, things like that. And it was the same thing, but just different artwork and different copy. Now, to be able to do that today is almost impossible. You have to set up all different plates. But this is the power of digital. And what happened was, and I don't want you to take my answer to that. His Direct Magazine, when they found out about it, they interviewed the client, and the client said, yeah, we got a 50% response rate on that, which is unheard of. But everybody in the industry was certainly writing about it because they had never seen anything like it. And the client billed about $1 million, which isn't too bad. Okay.
Not
It
too shabby.
allowed me to prove and validate that personalization of 3-dimensional and die cut pieces is the future. So printing is still in its infancy. Okay. Creative people don't understand the value of personalization. They think design is everything. Copywriters think copy is everything. And having done all of that, I'm going to tell you and everybody that's listening to you, it's a combination of a lot of elements. Okay.
Exactly. Hmm.
If you don't make the customer react in a half a second, you've lost it. If you're not fighting for jumping out of that stack of mail with a shape or a color or a box, you've lost it. Okay. You're just like this. These people
Yeah.
waste $30,000 a month and get nothing back. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
what?
it's a great opportunity to, well, because it's tangible too. It's physical. We're so used to staring at our screens or scrolling on our phones. If we get something interesting and unique that's in the real world, of course we're going to notice and pay attention to it. And you're right. A lot of companies just aren't doing that, or they're just taking the quantity approach and hoping that somebody happens to find it.
That's essentially the state of the art today. And because of that, printers are dying. They're gobbling each other up just for their Rolodexes. It's really a
Mm,
shame because printing is such an honorable profession. But magazines and newspapers can't make it on just subscriptions. Okay, so the whole printing industry is shrinking, and I'm saying that it's still in its infancy, but the creative people have to learn about it. The clients have to start collecting data to understand this, and printers have to start offering something that isn't automated, something
yes.
that's assembled by a human
Right.
being and checked, and then it goes out in the mail, or in some cases, hand delivered, or in some cases, with somebody dressed up. All
Yeah.
right. We used to do this. We used to have a friend that we dress him up as a chef, and he would go into a selected business at 8:30 in the morning with a tray of specially baked apple turnovers. And inside that tray would be a message, not all turnovers are as tasty as these, but if you turn over your marketing to us, we'll leave you with a good taste in your mouth. I gotta tell you, if he went out to 10 people in one day, I got on the phone with 10 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
So that's the key is how do you set up that funnel? And nowadays it's they drop 10,000 pieces and nobody's going to follow up with a phone call because nobody's going to
Right.
see that piece. It's really a
What
shame. So
it is, and I think there's a mental shift that has to happen for business owners, right? Because they're looking at, okay, the cost of this campaign. Oh, an individual custom mailer is going to be like $5 instead of I can send these for 40 cents, or instead of taking a step back and saying, okay, if I put in a little bit of upfront work to customize this and make it good and just send it to the top people that I actually care about wanting to see this and ensure that they see it by doing one of these things you're talking about, making it stand out of the pile, sending a singing telegram person to deliver it, whatever it is. Okay, you're going to have much better returns. It's going to be cheaper overall in terms of the campaign, and your response rate is higher. So it's going to be a bigger win overall. So it's definitely worth thinking about.
well, look at your potential client. What is that client worth on a one-time buy or on a lifetime buy? It's
Hmm.
certainly worth more than $1.47. Okay.
Yes.
And when you send something like this, you're telling them that you're just like everybody else. You really don't want to do that. What you have to consider though is the person you're mailing it to isn't always the person that gets the mail. And the
Hmm.
person that gets the mail plays triage with what the C level is looking for. And I had to cut through a lot of that stuff. And I realized that it was a woman, 35 and above, that was getting the mail for all my targets. So I created a butterfly mailer. Can you see this?
Yep.
All right. And it's personalized front and back with the person's name on it. Well, the response was off the scale with this one. Okay. Well, what do you do for men? Well, I started playing with this. Can you see this?
There's
All right. So
piranhas.
this is an invitation, and you pull it out, and what happens usually is well, this one got stuck, is that the piranha comes out with it. And inside is all sorts of personalized stuff, including a bite card with bites
Hmm.
taken out. I'm telling you, this changed my whole attitude with marketing. Marketing was working better than I ever dreamed. And not the traditional stuff, like billboards. Billboards are great at 50 miles an hour. You got 5 words. It supports your marketing program. It doesn't drive it.
Right.
Okay. But to be able to get your message into the hands of your target. Okay. So I believe very strongly in public relations. One of the things we did was we made a pizza box. And we dressed the guy as a pizza delivery guy. He went into the newspaper, says, "This is for the journal, the journal department, where the writers are." And inside was a giant pizza that they were able to open up, and it pitched them. We got written up everywhere for the client anyway. So you have to think differently. And if you're not including die cutting, you're not doing yourself justice. It adds a nickel to the piece. Okay. The
Yeah.
cost of the die, depending upon how intricate it is one cost. That's a fixed cost. Then setting it up to press the printed paper, that's another cost, but it's worth it because if you do it right, it's going to separate you from the pack. The average
Yeah.
American is bombarded by 2,000 messages a day. You have to make a lasting impression, make them smile, and get them to react to it, at least to remember it. So when you follow it up with a phone call, you can take them out to lunch and talk to them for an hour.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of want to wrap us up right there because that's the biggest takeaway. You have to make a lasting impression. You've got to do these extra steps up front to make yourself get noticed so that people even read your message in the first place. So, these are all great stories. Thank you, Harvey, for sharing all that with us. I love how creative the approach is. I think it's a great reminder and inspiration for everybody listening to, you know, do something different. It's way more fun to do it this way than sending the boring mailers anyways. You don't like writing it, people don't like reading it. So do something interesting and that's how you'll get noticed. So guys, you can connect with Harvey. His links are in the show notes. Find him on LinkedIn, watch his videos on YouTube. Harvey, do you have one quick tidbit that you want to leave people with before we close out?
Quick tidbit. Um, Look, you only get one shot to make a lasting impression. Make them smile. Okay. Stop trying to sell something in a postcard. Okay. Get noticed, get laughed at, and then make the phone call and get the appointment. That's really what you want. All right. Did that help?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a great thing to end on, guys. Take Harvey's message to heart. All right. And thanks again for being here, Harvey. Thanks to all of you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.